Welcome back to the Jeff Crilley Show for the final segment. Boy, we may have saved the best to last because Raquel Raies is my guest, and you have one of the coolest jobs on the planet. Tell everybody what you do.
Thank you, Jeff. So I'm the national brand ambassador for the MACALLAN single malt Scotch.
And I detect an accent. I'm thinking East Texas.
Sure. Amarillo, maybe?
Well, tell us, how did you get this gig? It's a great job.
Yes, it is. I have worked in the alcohol beverage industry for over 10 years now, starting in fine wine, moving to fine Scotch. So it's been a journey across the pond and in America. And now I'm based in Chicago, and I'm the first ever female national brand ambassador. So it's an honor to be representing such a delicious and top quality Scotch whiskey.
That's awesome. Well, let's tell everybody why you're here in North Texas right now.
So I'm here because it's very exciting. As the first female national brand ambassador, I've been asked by a wonderful magazine called Plano Profile to be a speaker at their Women in Business conference on September 29th. It is going to be fantastic. There's some great speakers. We have Stephanie Pope, the CFO of Boeing. I have Michelle Miller from Verizon, and Lindsay, who works for Corgan. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember them all. I just met them here. There's someone saying in my ear. Yes, but they're all. So I'm here. I got to meet them all. In preparation, we're talking about being agents of change in each of our industries, which is just it's exciting times for all of us in our careers. So,
absolutely. Now, so for those who are not familiar with this brand, tell us about the brand. It's an old brand.
Yes, founded in 1824 in Speyside, Scotland. We are, I'd say, one of the top single malt scotches in the world. What makes the MACALLAN so unique is our wood policy. So we make all of our own casks, which is a process that takes a lot of time and investment, but really does shape the flavour and character of the whiskey. So we're famous for the sherry cask. And when I say we make our own casks, that starts from an acorn. So we source all of our own oak trees from America and in Ohio and Kentucky and across in Europe. We dry our staves for 2 years naturally, then bring all of the staves down to a place called Jerez in southern Spain. So you wonder why we're in Spain when we are making Scotch whiskey, but everything really starts in that area. We make the casks in Jerez and then fill our casks with dry Oloroso sherry to have them season the cask for 2 years. So that sherry really is a big flavour component of the MACALLAN. Then the casks are shipped to Scotland. So a process to make our cask is about 6 years. And that's then not including the magic that happens in the cask when it's aging at the MACALLAN distillery. So it really is all about that wood process, and that defines the MACALLAN.
I have some friends who work at a high-end steakhouse here in Dallas, and they were so impressed that I was inviting you. And they're saying, some of their high-end bottles sell for $500 an ounce. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Actually, I did bring the beginning of that Masters series. What I have here is the two 12-year-olds. Okay. Of MACALLAN, and then the rare cask. And the rare cask is part of the 1824 Masters series, which starts here, then moves to Reflection, number 6, and then M. So I imagine M is the bottle that your friend was talking about, which is, I'd say, not just whiskey, it's a lifetime of whiskey in a bottle. And lots of history dating back to one of the casks, let's say, during the World War II was put to rest. Wow. So it's an Elalique decanter and is an experience to enjoy it.
Well, I think you need to educate my palate.
Okay.
Can we have a tasting?
Absolutely.
All right, well, take us through it.
I want to start with the two 12-year-olds. So the MACALLAN 12 that most people are familiar with has been around. It's our flagship. I call it the OG because it's
the OG.
It's been around for a while.
I like that.
And it really goes back to the two 12s now. We just released the double cast 12-year-old last year, and everyone was wondering why Macallan would release another 12-year-old, but it goes back to that journey of wood, that story of the oak. So the original 12-year-old is actually aged mostly in the European sherry cask. The European oak is very porous, so a lot more of that sherry is imparted into the whiskey. Flavors of dried fruit and sweet spices really are synonymous with that wood type. So the newest 12-year-old, the double cask, which I call the yin to the yang, is actually aged predominantly in the American oak cask. So American oak, less porous. So flavors of vanilla, citrus, and honey come from American oak. So what you're getting here is a great contrast. The only thing that changes is the oak type. I'd say one is the double cask with the American oak more fresh and light. And the sherry oak, the traditional Macallan, is more, let's say, rich and sumptuous.
Yes.
So I'm going to pour for you each of them to try side by side, because it really is that story of wood that comes to life on your palate. So that's why we created.
Can I just say you're perfect to represent this brand?
Well,
Your
thank you very much.
sophisticated accent, the way you describe stuff, it's sexy.
Thank you. It is sexy. Whiskey is sexy.
Okay.
And
So which one is the OG?
so the one on the
Right?
left here, yes,
Okay.
you're right,
Okay.
is the traditional Macallan. So actually, I'd suggest you try the double cask first, the
Okay.
lighter.
Okay.
So I'd say this is before dinner, double cask, and then after dinner.
Okay,
you
so
do
now-
a sherry oak.
Should I
Yes.
put it
there's
around in
there's-
my tongue, or how
There
does
is
that work?
a important way to enjoy whiskey. I'm going to join you here.
Okay.
I know everybody else wants to join soon, so I'll make sure I pour for everybody.
You just quality
after the-
control. We have a lot of people concerned about, excellence.
How it tastes.
Yes, exactly.
So actually, one of the most important things when tasting whiskey is nosing. So we actually start with nosing the whiskey.
Okay.
But even before that, with the Macallan, what is very important is the looking at the colour, because 80% of flavour and 100% of the colour comes from the cask. So this is all natural. All this beautiful colour here comes from the oak cask. So when you take a look, this is a lighter, I'd say golden hue. When you look at the sherry oak, it's going to be a little bit darker. So once you've looked, hold the glass just to your chin. You don't want to put your nose straight into the glass because it's 43% alcohol by volume. It's not a wine, which you can really sniff.
Right.
You want to let your nose be, I guess, slowly taken into the alcohol. So start by your chin.
Okay.
And keep your mouth open and breathe through your nose. It sounds harder to do than it is. And what you're doing is inhaling those aromas, moving them through your olfactory senses. So you're tasting the whiskey with your nose before you put it in your mouth.
Wow. This is really cool. This is
Yes.
quite an education.
So you should be getting a lot of fresh oak, vanilla, citrus, and honey.
Yes.
And when you taste, what you'll notice is the Macallan is a very rich, viscous, oily spirit that comes from our very small stills that we use, some of the smallest in the Scotch whisky industry. So the first sip is, if it's the first drink of the day, which, we're hopefully, you never
almost
know.
noon.
Almost noon. You want that first sip is just getting used to that proof of alcohol. Take the first sip, and the second sip is where you develop the flavours a bit more. So coat
That's
it around your mouth.
smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it lingers, but lots of the vanilla come through on the end.
Okay, so we have 2 minutes left. They just
Okay.
gave me. So do I?
So try the sherry oak, and while you do that,
Okay.
I'm going to finally talk about the rare cask,
Yes.
because this is part of the Master Series. So as you'll see, the rare cask is in a beautiful decanter. And what makes the rare cask so rare is really back to the sherry story. The Macallan, as we make all of our own casks, we have worked with the sherry industry for many years. The sherry industry, unfortunately, isn't as vibrant as it used to be. So what makes it so rare, it comes from the top 1% of all the casks maturing at the Macallan warehouse. Wow. And those 1% of casks come from sherry houses that no longer exist. So essentially, you're not just getting Macallan history, but also sherry history. And there's two words that I use to describe the rare cask. and I'll hope you agree when you taste this. They are dangerously smooth.
Wow.
So it's something special. It is a rare treat. Great for around the holiday times, gifting. But it's something that treating friends or yourself. But it is absolutely delicious and great for those who are even not Scotch drinkers. I think this is something that will.
You're right. It is.
Change their
It's
minds.
dangerously smooth.
Yes.
Okay, we've got about 30 seconds
Yes.
left. How do people get a hold of the company? What's the website?
Well, just to mention for the website for the Women in Business is
Yes.
wib.planoprofile.com. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MACALLAN Raquel or MACALLAN Raquel. So I am in Chicago and Dallas a lot, so I host lots of events. So if people follow me, they can come and get to taste these in person.
And we can't let this go to waste. So
Absolutely
I'm
not.
going to be drinking on the way out. And that's the Jeff Crilley Show.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody next week.